Yes, sir! New York Knicks news. What if the Knicks had drafted Ja Morant? So we're here to talk about what if the Knicks had drafted Ja Morant, how the team would have been different. How does Ja compare to RJ? Ja Morant's one of my favorite players in this league. He's such a young, talented player. He won Rookie of the Year. Let's talk a little bit about Ja Morant and who he is. So, I'm sure most of you guys know who Ja Morant is. He's a 6'3" point guard. He's 21 years old. He was chosen second in the draft last year by the Memphis Grizzlies. He won Rookie of the Year. He had a great season, and so far in the preseason, he's shown that he's gotten even better this season and is looking to have an even better season this year. So with Ja Morant, we can talk about how last year during the draft, or coming up to the draft, all Knicks fans know that the biggest thing with the Knicks was Zion, Zion, Zion. All that the Knicks media was talking about was how the Knicks can get Zion. Knicks have to get Zion. There was Zion talks. There was talks about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in free agency. So the Knicks thought they were going to have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and Zion all on the same team, or at least one of those guys would be on the Knicks. They ended up getting none of them. Ended up going with RJ Barrett with the third pick, because the way the draft odds are the way the draft odds work now is so fucked. Like a team has a better record than you can end up getting a higher pick than you in the draft. Just the way they changed the draft odds, where back in the day it used to be the worst team had the highest chance of getting the best pick. But it's not like that anymore. But we'll get into that later. So all year the Knicks were talking about we got to get Zion. They ended up getting RJ Barrett. As I said, Ja Morant's one of my favorite players. I would have loved to seen Ja Morant on the Knicks. So it got me to thinking, how would the Knicks team be different if they did get Ja Morant? So let's get into it. Let's talk about Ja Morant a little bit more. So he went to college. He played for Murray State for 2 years. Each year in college, he got better. He knew from his freshman year, if he wanted to make it to the NBA, he needed to improve a lot. So in his sophomore year, he did just that. He improved. He ended up winning Player of the Year for his conference. He actually won MVP for a tournament in his conference. So he definitely took his game to the next level with Ja Morant. His NBA comparison, in my eyes, he reminds me a bit of like these point guards. He reminds me of Derrick Rose, De'Aaron Fox, Russell Westbrook, a little bit of Steve Francis, and a little bit of John Wall. So why I say that is because he's very explosive, just like a Russ, just like a Derrick Rose, very fast, very explosive. He is a bit undersized. He's 6'3", but he's so skinny that it just makes him look a bit undersized. He's very wiry, but it's the speed that I like with him. The playmaking, he has playmaking just like John Wall did in his prime, just like Russell Westbrook has developed in his career. So he has great speed like De'Aaron Fox and John Wall. So those are his NBA comparisons for me. Now let's compare Ja Morant to RJ Barrett, because RJ Barrett is who the Knicks ended up picking, even though in the draft, the Knicks had the Pelicans got the first pick, the Memphis Grizzlies got the second pick, the Knicks got the third pick, even though the Knicks had the highest lottery odds of getting a first pick. So let me tell y'all what the odds were quick before we get into Ja versus RJ. So in 2019, leading up to the draft, the Knicks had a 14% chance at getting the first pick. They had a 13.4% chance of getting the second pick. They had a 12.7% chance of getting the third pick. They ended up getting the third pick. So with a 12.7% chance, 14% chance, and all this shit, you knew they were going to get a top 3 pick. But what doesn't make sense to me, and I know how possibilities work, guys, I'm just saying is that two teams that had lower odds of getting a high pick over the Knicks ended up getting higher picks. Because the Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies had the exact same odds. So for the first pick, they had 6% chances of getting the first pick, 6.3% chance of getting the second pick, 6.7% chance of getting the third pick. They both got the first and second pick. The Knicks had double the chances of getting the first or second pick over these teams, and these teams still got it. I know how probabilities work. I know that anything can happen. Even with a 1% chance, you could get a first-round pick. But I'm just saying that it just goes to show how nothing goes to the Knicks' favor in the fucking draft. Like, every time the Knicks are supposed to get a high pick, they end up getting robbed. I can't tell you the last time that the Knicks had a number 1 pick. If you guys know, let me know in the comments, because I can't think of the last time the Knicks have had a number 1 pick. I've seen the Cleveland Cavaliers have about 2 or 3 number 1 picks in the past 20 years. I seen the Pelicans. They've had 2 or 3 number one picks in the past 20 years as well. And we all know that the reason why Zion ended up going to the Pelicans with the number one pick is because the NBA rigged the fucking lottery. Everybody knows that the NBA rigged the lottery. Why did they rig the lottery? Because the NBA owns part of the Pelicans. They have a very large vested interest in the Pelicans. The NBA pretty much owns part of the Pelicans. I'm sure they own parts of every team, but they own a large part of the Pelicans. I don't know why that is, but it goes back to the whole back when David Stern had canceled the Lakers trade when they tried to get Chris Paul because he wanted to keep him on the Hornets, which is now the Pelicans. It just goes to show, like, the NBA's always been tampering with the Pelicans and the Hornets. So now, because Anthony Davis was leaving the Pelicans, they knew the Pelicans were going to be a wasteland. No one was going to watch the Pelicans. All fans were going to lose interest in the Pelicans. And because the NBA owns part of that team, they're like, nah, we can't let that happen. So they rigged the lottery so that they got Zion. Zion, one of the most popular players in the NBA. They're like, yo, if we get Zion to the Pelicans, even if the team is complete trash, at least people will watch because they have Zion. So the NBA rigged the lottery. They robbed the Knicks. They robbed the Knicks of the top pick just so they could give the Pelicans someone to watch. That's my opinion. It's my conspiracy. I think that the NBA rigged the lottery to rob the Knicks of Zion. But I digress. So now let's talk about how Ja and RJ compare, because in my opinion, I think it would have been nice if the Knicks could have got Ja Morant over RJ Barrett. As I told you, they should have had a higher pick than the Grizzlies. So that's what made me think about it. Like, what if the Knicks did get Ja? So let's compare the two players. So Ja Morant versus RJ. When it comes to win shares, which is how much wins a player adds to a team, Ja Morant adds 3.8 wins to his team. According to win shares, RJ Barrett, he has a negative 0.5 win shares. So Ja Morant adds 3.8 wins. RJ Barrett takes away half a win. So that's win shares. Points. Ja Morant averaged 18 points last year. RJ Barrett averaged 14 points. Rebounds. Ja Morant averaged 4. RJ averaged 5. Assists. Ja averaged 7.3. RJ averaged 2.6. Steals. They both average about 1 steal. Blocks. They both average 0.3 blocks. Field goal percentage. Ja Morant way better, 48%. RJ, 40%. 3-point percentage, 33.5 for Ja, 32% for RJ. Free throw percentage, 77.6 for Ja, 61% for free throw for RJ. We all know that RJ struggles with his free throws. Hopefully this season he can improve that. That's a big area of improvement. He has to improve his free throws. He has to improve his free throws so that when he drives, he's actually a threat. Because if guys know that you can't shoot free throws, they're just going to foul you hard and send you to the line as opposed to let you put up a layup. So for his driving ability, he needs to get his free throws together. Now, after hearing those stats, as you guys can tell, at least it's obvious to me, Ja is a much better and more efficient scorer with a 48% field goal versus RJ's 40%. And you have to keep in mind, Ja Morant is the main, he's the main target on offense. Like, the defense is locked in on Ja. He's the main priority. With the Knicks, RJ is not the main priority. They're not locked in on RJ. So Ja Morant is still shooting better than RJ, even though he's having more defensive attention on him. That's important to note. So Ja is a better scorer. He's a better passer. He's a better free throw shooter. They pretty much shoot the same from 3, so I'm not going to get into that. They both score about 1-3 a game, so it's not like they're Stephen Curry or anything. But in general, I think Ja is just a better player. He's more clutch. We've seen him hit game winners, get game-winning blocks on Kyrie and shit like that, so he's more clutch. I just think that Ja would have been a better fit for the Knicks than RJ Barrett. Yes, guys, I understand that Ja Morant was not available at the 3rd pick. I'm talking about what if. What if the Knicks were able to get Ja Morant? What if the Knicks had the 2nd pick? What if Ja Morant went to the Knicks with the 2nd pick? That's what we're talking about. What if? So the Knicks, if the Knicks had Ja Morant last year as a rookie, last year the Knicks were 12th and they finished 21 of 45. So they had 21 wins, 45 losses. They finished 12th in the East. I think with Ja Morant, they would have been able to win at least 5 more games. They would have been 26 and 46, and that would have been good enough for the 9th spot in the East. They would have been in the bubble. As you guys know, the Knicks were not in the bubble. The Wizards made the bubble, but the Knicks did not. They would have been in the bubble, and I think they would have finished in ninth place, which is just a bit outside of the play-in. If they were able to win about 31 or 32 games, they would have qualified for the play-in. But 26 wins is not enough for the play-in. But I just think they would have been that much better. They would have went from 12th in the East last year to 9th in the East if they had Ja versus RJ. That's my opinion. I think the Knicks' future would be in better hands with Ja versus RJ. And this is nothing against RJ. Guys, I'm from Toronto. I fucking love RJ. He's the next Maple Jordan for us. We had Andrew Wiggins. He was Maple Jordan. Now, RJ, he's the new Maple Jordan. I hope RJ can develop into a great player. He was great at Duke. He has a lot of potential. He just needs to be developed and be put in the right position to win. The Knicks said they're trying to move him away from the shooting guard / point guard role into a more of a small forward role so he can do less playmaking, less ball handling, less early like play initiating. They're trying to get him more into a role where he's like a complementary piece. He's not initiating the offense. He's more so taking the ball and attacking off closeouts, taking the ball and attacking off a screen, stuff like that. Maybe attacking off cuts instead of having him run pick and roll and shit like that. So RJ is going to be in a different role this year. I think he's going to have a much better season. Now, I think the Knicks' future would be in a better position just because they would have a true point guard that would be able to get all the young guys the ball in good positions. Like Dennis Smith Jr., he's not working out with the Knicks. Elfrid Payton, he's a fine player. There's nothing wrong with him. The offense definitely isn't there, but he's a fine player. Definitely puts a lot of heart on the defensive end. I just think that the Knicks, if they had a true point guard who could facilitate the offense, puts a lot of heart every single night goes out, plays his hardest, like a Russell Westbrook does, Ja Morant would have been a better fit for the Knicks. He would have been able to give Kevin Knox the ball in positions that allow Kevin Knox to score. He'd be able to give Mitchell Robinson the ball in positions that allow Mitchell Robinson to score. Like a Mitchell Robinson, Ja Morant pick and roll would be dope. I just think that he would have been a better fit, and the future for the Knicks would have been bright because Ja Morant's the type of player that can get other players to want to play with him. Like guys in the league want to play with players that are dynamic and explosive like Ja Morant, especially when they're great playmakers because they know that guys like Ja Morant will get them involved. Versus a guy like RJ Barrett, he's a score first type of guy, not necessarily a pass first type of guy. Ja Morant, he's like an even distribution of pass and score. So I'm not going to dribble on about this video anymore. I'm not going to ramble on. I'm going to cut it off here. Knicks fans and NBA fans in general, who do you think the Knicks would be better off with? RJ Barrett or Ja Morant? Let me know in the comments how you guys feel. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We do new NBA videos every single week, every Monday and Wednesday at 10 o'clock and every Saturday at 12 p.m. So look out for those videos. All right, peace, boys.